This video is intended for audiences 18 and over. How far would a person go to protect a crumbling empire, an opulent facade built on generations of lies and privilege? For over a century, the Murdaugh family name resonated with unchallenged law and power. In the low country of South Carolina, 3 generations had held the highest prosecutorial office, forging a legal dynasty that commanded respect and wielded immense influence. Yet beneath this glossy exterior, a dark current flowed, threatening to shatter everything. Tonight, we delve into a tale of betrayal, desperate measures, and ultimate collapse, uncovering the psychological traps that ensnared an entire family. Offering vital lessons for your own life. On a sweltering June night, a chilling call pierced the silence. "My wife and son have been shot." Alex Murdaugh's voice, raw with desperation, trembled through the static. "I just got home. It's Maggie and Paul." The dispatcher's calm questions met with his frantic, broken answers, painting a picture of unimaginable horror unfolding at a sprawling 770-acre hunting estate known as Murdaugh. The heart of their family empire, a husband, a father, claiming to have returned home to a scene of unspeakable devastation. But no one, not even the Murdaughs themselves, could have predicted the profound depths of deceit this single call would eventually unravel. Welcome to the story. True crime deep dive. Before the tragic events of that night, the Murdaughs were practically royalty in their corner of South Carolina. Their law firm, Pamped, stood as a legal juggernaut, and Alex Murdaugh, the family patriarch, was known as a highly successful, albeit notoriously cunning, personal injury attorney. They lived a life of apparent prestige and comfort, with Murdaugh serving as the emblem of their success. However, this impressive structure was built upon an increasingly unstable foundation. A foundation of secrets and financial deception, poised to collapse at any moment. The night of June 7th, 2021 forever changed the Murdaugh legacy. Alex Murdaugh, in his panicked 911 call, described discovering his wife, Maggie, aged 52, and their younger son, Paul, aged 22, brutally murdered near the dog kennels on their property. The scene described by first responders was truly horrific, underscoring the extreme violence of the act. From the very beginning, Alex Murdaugh projected himself as a grieving husband and father. He steadfastly told investigators he had been visiting his ailing mother that evening, creating what he believed was an ironclad alibi, placing him miles away from the horrifying events at Murdaugh. For over a year, he maintained this narrative while the investigation continued, leaving the community in a state of unease as no arrests were made. However, the meticulously crafted alibi, which Alex had so confidently presented, began to fracture with the discovery of a crucial piece of evidence found on Paul Murdaugh's cell phone. Just minutes before his life was tragically taken, around 8:44 p.m., Paul had recorded a short video on Snapchat, intended for a friend, showing a dog at the kennels. In the background of that short, unassuming video, another voice was clearly audible alongside Paul's and Maggie's. Investigators definitively identified that third voice as Alex Murdaugh's. This single piece of digital evidence served as the bombshell that utterly destroyed Alex's entire narrative. It irrefutably proved he had lied about his whereabouts, placing him at the scene of the crime with both victims just moments before their lives were violently ended. He was not visiting his mother. He was at the kennels with his wife and son, a devastating truth he had desperately tried to conceal, with his alibi unequivocally shattered. Prosecutors began to construct a powerful case centered on 2 interconnected motives, arguing that the double murders were not a random act of violence. They argued it was a desperate final gambit by a man whose life was spiraling catastrophically out of control. The first motive stemmed from a tragic boat crash in February 2019. The crash was caused by a drunk Paul Murdaugh, resulting in the death of 19-year-old Mallory Beach. Paul was facing serious criminal charges. The Murdaugh family was embroiled in a multi-million-dollar wrongful death lawsuit from the Beach family. A crucial hearing in that lawsuit, set to expose Alex's personal finances in court, was scheduled for the very same week as the murders. Prosecutors argued that Alex, facing this immense legal and financial pressure, murdered Paul and Maggie. He did this to create a shocking diversion, hoping to gain sympathy and delay a financial reckoning he could not survive. The second, and perhaps even more profound, motive was Alex's profound financial ruin. The gathering storm of his downfall was his secret life as a prolific fraudster. For years, he had been systematically embezzling millions of dollars from his law firm and its clients, funding a lavish lifestyle and a hidden opioid addiction. On the very morning of the murders, the CFO of his law firm confronted him about nearly $800, zero in missing funds from a single case. He was on the brink of being exposed, disbarred, and almost certainly imprisoned. The prosecution contended that the murders were his chaotic and desperate attempt to deflect from his imminent professional This professional and financial implosion was a desperate act to buy himself time and escape accountability. As investigators delved deeper into the Murdaugh murders, a disturbing pattern of other suspicious deaths and criminal activities began to surface, all intimately connected to the powerful family. There was the case of Gloria Satterfield. Gloria Satterfield was the Murdaugh family's longtime housekeeper, who died in 2018 after a supposed trip and fall accident at Moselle. Alex Murdaugh later convinced her sons to sue his insurance company, only to then steal the entire $4.3 million settlement for himself, leaving her grieving children with nothing. Then, just 3 months after the Murdaugh murders, Alex himself was shot in the head. This shooting occurred on a rural roadside. He initially claimed it was a random attack, but later admitted to having hired a distant cousin, Curtis Eddie Smith. He hired him to kill him in a botched suicide-for-hire scheme. His twisted goal was for his surviving son, Buster, to collect a $10 million life insurance policy, a final act of desperation to secure funds for his family, or perhaps for himself. Even further back, in 2015, 19-year-old Stephen Smith was found dead in the middle of a road. In a case controversially ruled a hit-and-run, rumors had long linked the Murdaugh family to his death, and the investigation into Stephen Smith's demise was officially reopened in 2023. It is now classified as a homicide. These separate, yet interconnected incidents painted a grim picture of a family whose influence seemed to shield them from the consequences of their actions. Fostering an environment where secrets and corruption could thrive unchecked, the web of deceit surrounding Alex Murdaugh was far more intricate and sinister than anyone could have initially imagined. The what-if of the Murdaugh case begins not with the horrific murders, but years earlier, at the precise moment Alex Murdaugh chose to embrace a life of deception. What if, instead of silently spiraling into addiction and embezzlement, he had sought help? What if, when confronted by his law firm's CFO on the morning of the murders, he had admitted his crimes, faced the impending disbarment, and accepted the consequences of his actions, however severe? This was a critical turning point where transparency could have diverted the entire. It could have diverted the catastrophic timeline. A second, equally profound. What if centers around the boat crash involving Paul Murdaugh? What if the Murdaugh name and influence hadn't shielded Paul from immediate, complete accountability? What if the family had faced the civil lawsuit from the Beach family with transparency, allowing Alex's personal finances to be scrutinized without obstruction, rather than attempting to obscure their assets and delay justice? Let's explore an alternate, safer timeline. Imagine a world where Alex, overwhelmed by his opioid addiction and the crushing weight of his financial fraud, made a different choice. On that fateful morning, when the missing funds were uncovered, what if he had broken down, confessed everything, and sought professional help? Instead of retreating into desperate, violent schemes, the immediate outcome would undoubtedly have been painful. He would have faced criminal charges for embezzlement. He certainly would have lost his law license, and likely endured significant public humiliation. But in this hypothetical scenario, Maggie and Paul would still be alive. The ripple effects would be profound. The Beach family, grieving Mallory, might have received swifter justice. Their multi-million-dollar wrongful death lawsuit settled fairly. It would have been settled without the added layer of Murdaugh family obstruction. Other financial victims of Alex's fraud might have seen their stolen funds recovered much sooner, sparing them years of hardship and heartache. Paul, facing his boat crash charges in an environment free from his father's escalating desperation, might have had the opportunity to genuinely confront the consequences of his actions, potentially leading to a more constructive path forward, perhaps even rehabilitation, rather than becoming a pawn in his father's final desperate act. Furthermore, in this alternate reality, imagine if the community itself, or elements within the legal system, had been less intimidated by the Murdaugh name and its pervasive influence. What if the suspicious deaths surrounding the family, Gloria Satterfield's mysterious fall, Stephen Smith's unresolved roadside death, had been rigorously investigated from the outset, without the Murdaugh family's power looming over every inquiry? This proactive approach might have exposed Alex's true character and criminal tendencies much earlier. The pattern of deception, manipulation, and disregard for human life might have been recognized before it escalated to the point of unspeakable tragedy. This earlier intervention could have prevented him from reaching a stage of such desperate, chaotic acts. This hypothetical scenario underscores how unchecked power and privilege, combined with societal complacency, can create an environment where warning signs are tragically ignored, allowing a singular individual to inflict profound and widespread harm. It's a powerful reminder that every choice, no matter how small, can set off a chain reaction with monumental consequences. The Murdaugh saga serves as a somber and powerful lesson about the illusion of control, and about the destructive power of unaddressed secrets. Alex Murdaugh's story is a stark reminder that even the most meticulously constructed facades, built on a foundation of lies and privilege, are inherently fragile and will eventually crumble. The psychology at play here is complex, Alex was caught in a vicious cycle of the sunk cost fallacy, where he kept doubling down on his lies and escalating his criminal behavior, rather than cutting his losses and facing the consequences earlier. He was likely fueled by a narcissistic delusion, believing himself to be above the law and beyond accountability, convinced his status and cunning would always protect him. His hidden opioid addiction only exacerbated this spiral, driving him to increasingly desperate measures to maintain his lavish lifestyle and conceal his crimes, ultimately leading to unimaginable tragedy. This case, therefore, distills into a critical life lesson. Unaddressed problems fester and grow, often demanding a far higher price in the long run than early, painful honesty. Based on this devastating case, we can extract several specific, actionable pieces of advice to empower us in our own lives. Confront secrecy and addiction early. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction or financial distress, hiding these issues only allows them to metastasize into larger, more catastrophic problems. Seek help, whether it's therapy, support groups, or financial counseling. Encourage open, honest communication within families and professional circles. The temporary pain of exposure pales in comparison to the long-term devastation of unaddressed secrets, challenge unchecked power and privilege. In any community, recognize when individuals or entities hold disproportionate influence that seems to shield them from consequences. Demand transparency, question authority. Advocate for equal application of justice, regardless of status. Complacency in the face of privilege can create breeding grounds for corruption and abuse. Be an active, discerning participant in your community and legal system. Recognize red flags in relationships and situations. Develop your emotional intelligence to identify manipulative behavior, gaslighting, or inconsistencies in narratives, especially when financial matters or personal safety are concerned. Trust your instincts when something feels wrong. If someone's story doesn't add up, or if they consistently try to control or deceive, it's a critical warning sign that should not be ignored. Protect yourself by setting clear boundaries and distancing yourself from toxic dynamics. Understand the cost of complacency. The Murdaugh family's downfall shows how ignoring seemingly small ethical breaches or legal improprieties can pave the way for larger, more catastrophic failures. Whether it's in personal relationships, business dealings, or community oversight, a pattern of letting things slide can lead to profound and irreparable damage. The Murdaugh saga serves as a somber warning about the fragility of reputation and the devastating consequences of moral decay. We remember Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, Gloria Satterfield, Stephen Smith, and Mallory Beach, whose lives were tragically cut short amidst this intricate web of deceit and privilege. Through analyzing such complex cases, True Crime Deep Dive aims to empower you with insight and vigilance, fostering a safer and more discerning world for all. If you enjoyed this story, please like and share this video, and leave a comment with your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to the True Crime Deep Dive channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos.